Hi, my name is Lauren Choi. I am the founder of The New Norm. We started on the Johns Hopkins campus out of the materials engineering department. I was an undergrad at the time, and there were a couple kind of big things happening in the recycling space as well as the world of fashion that really inspired me to start pursuing this issue. And so I spent a summer building an extruder machine in my garage at home. And it took plastic, processed it, recycled it, and then turned it into a yarn. Um, and I took that back to campus. And then being on a college campus, you're really surrounded by party cups in any social setting. And that was actually the inspiration for it. And so we started collecting these cups from student organizations on campus, started processing it with the machine I had built. And that's really where we started. Now, fast forward, like 4 years, we've really been working to develop our technology. Our goal is to transform plastics into yarns and the fabrics, and we are specifically targeting plastics that aren't commonly recycled in our existing infrastructure. So not only do we work with party cups, but we've also applied our technology to ocean plastics. And so, yeah, it's been quite the journey of scaling our technology, figuring out our process, but that's brought us to today. So, yeah. At the end of last year, we launched our first capsule collection of like actual apparel to really showcase our materials. I love talking about our products because I think there are a lot of really cool features, and we really focused on the design of like how it was made and how can it be made sustainably. So we are fully made in the US. We recycle our plastics, create yarns, create fabrics, and then 3D knit our garments all in the US. We are 3D knitting, which is kind of a new and interesting process. It's essentially like 3D printing, but for apparel. The garment is printed or knitted right out of the machine. And so you go from yarn to garment. There's no cutting or sewing involved at all, which really reduces textile waste associated with typical cut and sew. And we're doing that up in New York. We have decided to only create filament yarns. Microfiber shedding and water pollution is a really big concern in the fashion industry. Laundering is the main source of that. Typically, these small fibers off of our clothing will get into the wash and then pollute water. And so we've really stuck to filament yarns for that reason. We also have created a zero water process to create our products. And so we don't use water at any step of our recycling or yarn extrusion process. And then we're also dyeing the material naturally in the sense that we're using the party cups or the ocean plastics to naturally add that color to the product. So yeah, a lot of thought has gone into how we create these products. It's been very intentional. We are still working at a pretty small scale. So I like to say we're kind of at that pilot scale where we're still working to improve our technology. But now we can work with folks like Drake to try to manufacture our yarns on their production line. And so this capsule collection was pretty small. It actually came out of a separate partnership with a strategic partner. Last year, we partnered with Reynolds Consumer Products, and they are the number one manufacturer behind party cups, which was really exciting. And so that actually came out of our kind of pilot with them. But yes, it was really limited. It was a capsule. We sold out, which is great to kind of prove traction. But now we're trying to continue to improve our process and our technology and kind of get to that production scale. In terms of like new designs, it's something we're brainstorming right now. We're also hoping, our ultimate hope is to partner with bigger brands and incorporate our materials and our technology. And so that's also something we're trying to navigate as well. So I would say all of it is a work in progress right now. Yeah. Definitely feels like a newer technology in terms of like, I don't think it's being implemented at a very large global scale. I think cut and sew is definitely how most apparel is made. But also, I would say 3D knitting is limited to only being able to create knitted garments. Like you could probably at this point not create like a 3D knitted suit or something that's really that requires that those other characteristics. And so, no, it's something I've just had my eye on for the past couple years. And we were actually at a conference and we met our 3D knitting partner there, and I was super excited that they were here in the US. They also do all these exciting, cool things with their technology along their production line. And so it seemed like a really good fit. And so, yeah, I hope 3D knitting continues to grow. I think it's such a great way to like limit waste, go directly from yarn to garment. Like that is really eliminating fabric knitting, all these other steps that are also involved. So yeah, it's really an exciting new technology. I think it depends on like what you're comparing it to. And so like it does take a while to knit a garment. Like for examples, I think our beanies take like 20 minutes to knit and like a sweater takes like somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. But you're also like, as I was kind of mentioning, eliminating those other steps. Like typically you would have to get your yarn, knit fabric. So knit all of that fabric out and then ship it to your cut and sew facility where, or even in between there, you might be doing other things to your fabric. You might be dyeing it, you might be finishing it. And then say you send it to cut and sew. And then at that point, then they have to construct the garment. And so I think it depends on kind of what things you're comparing it to. Yeah. Yeah, and so actually that was like a really nice surprise. Like the party cups, the ocean plastics all turn the yarn a really beautiful kind of range of colors. And so we actually haven't done any customizing. We've kind of chosen our plastics based on that. Um, like Drake does offer really great like custom color matching and choosing. And I think eventually, especially if we were to work with larger brands and designers who want a specific color, that would definitely be necessary. But to date, we haven't done any kind of like dyeing or adding of color. So it's all natural in that sense. That's actually something we want to do. Yes, because there are so many other party cup colors besides like the classic red. There are like variations of blue, green, and then pretty much all colors of the rainbow. And so one, we want to try those, and then two, I think, yeah, there's it just like blending and mixing colors really opens the door to more options. So yes, we work with partners to do collection. We're no longer collecting on college campuses, but we do work with suppliers to get that recycled material. And then we compound it in North Carolina. So that is the process of taking that recycled plastic chip, processing it, and turning it into a pellet. And that's really the point at which we apply our technology. We then take that material and take it to our, yarn extruder at Drake, and then we're able to then turn that material into a yarn. So it goes through another extrusion process, but on the outside, it's turning into yarn that's spinning at really high speeds. It goes through a little post processing, and then it's sent up to New York where we can 3D knit it into a garment. That's a great question. We were connected years ago. I want to say it's been around 3 years now. And I honestly don't remember who connected us, but we were working in that North Carolina space. Like North Carolina really is the kind of hub for any like textiles innovation. There's also a lot of plastics and polymer innovation happening there as well. And I remember being connected to them years ago. And we've just been trying to kind of work with them ever since. So, yeah. I think right now we're still proving out a lot of things. But I think working with a partner like Drake, I mean, Drake is manufacturing at such a large scale right now. And so I think the more we can integrate onto their production lines, it definitely opens the door to being able to do larger collaborations with brands and other types of textile companies. And so, yeah, I think we're just kind of step by step working our way towards getting to that point. We're really working with Drake to extrude our materials. And so they have pilot and production lines that we've run tests on. And so we have brought our materials, our recycled materials, we've applied our technology to them, and then we bring our materials to Drake, and then we're able to kind of run using their extrusion equipment and create yarns at higher consistency and quality. Um, and they have so much expertise in the world of yarn extrusion. It's been really great to kind of work with them to figure out these obstacles and challenges that we hit. So yeah, that's kind of how we've been working with them. I think for us, it has given us the opportunity to test this out at scale. So we can do as much as we can to develop this new technology, test it at the lab, test it at the pilot scale, but really where we need to get to recycle, the amount of plastic to then have that significant environmental impact is really to be able to commercialize and get it to that production scale. And so um, it's been really great to work with them to scale our technology, test these things out. There's always problems and challenges that occur when you're trying to develop a new process. And so being able to kind of test that out has been really, really important to us. So, yeah. Yeah, I think they are, more supportive of our work. I think initially, um, it was, R&D. It was new. It was very experimental. But it's been kind of over the years exciting to see how like each trial improves, what we're able to learn from each of those things. Um, so yeah, I think, yeah, once again, just like I feel like we were really fortunate to find them when we did. And that they've been really supportive of this kind of work, which is really, once again, very experimental. We don't know if things are going to work sometimes. And I think it's nice to have someone who's open to, those kinds of possibilities. So, yeah.